Hey, good evening, everybody. How you doing? Thad Brown here from the Sports Office. The Bills making some news as it was reported by Venues Now that the Bills had signed on with the Legacy Group. If you haven't heard of them, don't worry, I didn't either. But after some research, essentially the Legacy Group is a company formed by both Jerry Jones and the Stein brothers together. The idea being they wanted a company to run concessions for stadiums, specifically their new stadiums, the new Yankee Stadium in the Bronx and Jerry World down in Dallas. So that company has gone on and spawned a few other companies, a consulting group, and the Bills have connected with them to help build their new building. Now, we reported on Friday that the Bills are planning to build an open air stadium in Orchard Park that will have partial covering and could be ready as soon as 2025, but more likely we're talking about 2026 or 2027 before there are actually games played in this new building. Now, there are a lot of different things that go into it. First of all, I think the number one thing people wonder, and I wondered this too, why not build it downtown instead of back in Orchard Park again? Well, number one, I think it's cost. If you build a stadium downtown, you're not just building the building. It's about building the roads that get to the building, the areas that become the parking lots, the sewers that might go with the parking lots. There's a variety of infrastructure items that will be required to go with a new stadium. I mean, just think about this logically. And those infrastructure items could, theoretically, well over, hundreds of millions, even $1 billion extra onto the project. SoFi Stadium in LA, which was built for over $5 billion, infrastructure costs were a big part of that, or at least a large enough chunk to push that stadium project higher. So, in the interest from the Bills' point of view to not spend gobs of money on it, remember at some point there's probably going to be taxpayer money that will be involved in this. I don't know that for sure. That's just me speculating. But I think cost is the big reason why Orchard Park is likely to be the play as opposed to downtown. Because in Orchard Park, you got the parking lots already, you got the roads already. All you got to do is plop a building down in one of the parking lots you have open there. So it's much easier, much more cost effective. The other complaint that I saw in responses to our story on Twitter is why not the Bills build a dome or make it an enclosed stadium to host other events? And it's a valid question. And from what I understand, I think that the goal here, again, what I'm hearing, is that the Bills want to preserve the Buffalo experience in the new stadium. Now, some of that means open air, means weather, and whether you say that there's a home field advantage for being in the cold. I did a study on this recently. Cold doesn't give you an advantage, but playing in the wind does. And obviously, Buffalo is one of the windiest cities in the NFL. But neither one has a huge advantage. However, there is, the feeling that, when it's too tough for them, it's just right for us, the old Marv Levy phrase. There is a certain sense of pride and some belief in that when it comes to football. But more to the point, the Buffalo experience also includes tailgating. And in Orchard Park, no matter what parking lot you drop the new building in, when you get rid of the old building, there's going to be a parking lot there to tailgate. So to preserve the Buffalo experience, yeah, it means the weather, but it means tailgating and all the things that Buffalo and Bills fans love to do when it comes to being a part of a football game on a Sunday or a Monday night or whatever. So from what I understand, that's part of the goal, with this. And I think for the most part, Bills fans want to preserve that Buffalo experience. Doesn't mean it's got to be exactly the same. It's going to be better. It's going to be nicer. It's going to have all kinds of updates and all the technological stuff and the fun little, nooks and crannies that a lot of the other new NFL stadiums have. So it's going to be the Buffalo experience, but a whole bleeping lot better than what everybody is used to so far. So those are the two big, complaints that I'm seeing. The other thing that we talked about in the story on Friday is the lease in Orchard Park runs out in 2023. So the new stadium is not going to be done until 2025, if not later than that. What happens in the intervening years? Well, the plan A1 is probably to just do an extension on the lease with the town or with the county, Erie County, in the state of New York, and just keep playing there until the new stadium is ready. And I think that's the most likely scenario, and certainly the scenario that all parties want to happen. The Bills don't want to do anything else other than to play in Orchard Park until their new facility is ready. Even if they decide to go a different route, that's what they want to do. However, you don't have to be a longtime New York State resident to understand that dealing with the political climate and the political machinery in Erie County and New York State is not as easy as just opening a door and going to decide a loan or whatever. It can be a pain in the neck. So from what I understand, the Bills are prepared, to do whatever they have to do should any number of monkey wrenches be thrown into that negotiation. Again, the most likely scenario is that the Bills stay in Orchard Park for as long as it takes to get the new building ready to go, and that there is an extension negotiated and everything will be happy. But, when it comes to something of this size and this scope and involving the New York political climate, there are no guarantees. Now, again, the whole idea of what the new stadium is going to be, where it's going to be, that is just the plan. Things could change. And again, negotiations with the New York, political groups could certainly have an effect on that, from what I understand. So this is not a guarantee. This is the plan for now. And, if things change, if, the Bills and PSC decide there's a better plan or something they want to add or subtract from the stadium, that may all happen. But for now, this is what I understand the plan to be. And, we'll see. There's still a lot of moving parts to get through. But, at the end of the day, I think, look, if you're a Bills fan, everybody wants, their own thing. Some people want a dome. I was a big fan of the downtown stadium idea. I thought it'd be awesome, but I'm also not the one paying for it. So I can understand why the Bills and, the Pegulas might want to go to Orchard Park, because it does make a lot more sense in a lot of different ways. All right, what do you guys got from here? Scott Zeitz, how you doing? I've heard the casino idea, the Salamanca Casino idea. I don't know if it'd be right in the middle of downtown, Corey. I mean, there's a couple different options, I think, in terms of where the Bills possibly would consider that new stadium. But no matter where you put it downtown, you're essentially wedging it, more or less, relatively, into a new area to build a stadium and host a stadium. And it costs money. It costs a lot of money that you don't even think of. Sorry about that. So, I can understand. Oh, there it is. Sorry, my bad. I can understand why the Bills would be reticent and, cautious about wanting to, build a new stadium downtown. KeyBank Center, Joni Granado Domini. No, there's really not a spot there without, raising a couple buildings. There is a parking lot across the street that could accommodate the building. And I guess theoretically you could drop a building there, but even I don't think that's big enough. Probably not even close to big enough. So, the answer to your question, Joni, they really don't have space there to make it work. I answered your question. Corey, traffic obviously would be a big factor too. And again, the point is, it's not just worrying about the traffic you're going to create downtown. The Bills are going to have to basically reinvent what traffic looks like around wherever they build the stadium. So again, that costs gobs of money. It's just not as simple as what you can do in Orchard Park, where you've got, the traffic, you've got the ability for everybody to get in and out of, the stadium, get to and from the building. It's all ready to go. It's all easily set to go. So, do the Pegulas probably have the money, in the world to potentially support a downtown stadium at almost any price? Maybe. But, I don't care how much money you have. If you don't have to needlessly spend $1 billion on infrastructure, I can understand not doing it. I don't know how much else I can add to that. I get it. I get what the thinking is. I know some people are disappointed because you want this and this and this. And, I've been to almost all the other stadiums in the NFL. So I'd have a laundry list of things. I like this. I don't like this. I like this. I don't like this. My thought was building the dome that's in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil, which really wasn't super expensive to build. But again, Indianapolis, where that stadium is, there's quite a bit more room, or there was more room at least. I didn't go back to when it was constructed, but it seemed like that was a much more open area. In downtown Buffalo, not as many easy spaces. Tony, with the regular season going into the second week of January and playoffs into February, needs to be some protection for the fans. Even roof like Miami, my friend in Indy loves the dome. And I mean, who wouldn't like the dome? I get it too. I'm with you guys who enjoy the dome. I'm one of the people that usually has to be on the field for these games. So, where do I sign up for a dome? But again, that costs money. And from what I understand, it's money the Pegulas don't plan and probably are not interested and willing to spend at this point. But I think the plan is, and from what I understand, the plan is to have a partial roof. And how much roof, how much it'll help, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, we're going to get into meteorological studies of what angle the wind comes off the lake and causes the snow to blow, too. Corey, I'm not as familiar with the Salamanca exact site. As long as there's highways in all directions, yeah. But again, there's going to be some level of infrastructure construction. Now, maybe, I haven't gone through and looked at all the different sites and discovered how much each one would cost. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing about what the plan is, and the plan is Orchard Park. Ron Tantino, thanks for your contribution. And again, I'm not a guarantee that there will be tax dollars involved in this. But look, the way stadiums are constructed, usually that ends up being, part of the deal. Now, some stadiums have been constructed with an extra tourist tax, like a hotel tax that goes to the team, or a food and beverage tax that partially or somewhat goes to the team. There's a lot of different ways to make this happen, and that's a part of all the negotiations that will likely happen between the Bills and the New York State and local governments in the next few months or so. Corey, the thing with the Super Bowl is that it takes more than just having a building that will prevent the snow. You need hotel space, you need a location that works for all the various events the NFL is going to have, and I don't think it's just as easy as the Bills build a dome stadium and they get a Super Bowl. It may be that simple, but I don't think so. I think there's more concerns with Buffalo than that. The places where they have gone with Super Bowls that are northern cities, Minneapolis, Detroit, Indianapolis, much different situation when it comes to hotels and the ability to host all the ancillary events that go with the Super Bowl. Melanie Wheeler, make it worth your while. Make sure you have seating for a Super Bowl game. I mean, that's the thing, Melanie, and I think Melanie brings up a good point here. If the Bills are going to go with a dome or a downtown stadium, you want to make it big enough. There's no reason to go in between. You want to make it good enough so that you can attract a Super Bowl. So, like I said, it may not be as simple as a dome downtown. There are other things that are involved in that. So I'm not confident to sit there and say that the Pagulas look at it and say, I'm just going to throw numbers out. This is not actual numbers, but just ballparking from what I researched from SoFi Stadium, what other stadiums cost. If it costs $1.5 billion to build a new building in Orchard Park, and then it costs $2.5 to put any dome on, or $2.5 to put any stadium downtown, and $4 billion to do it right, to have a Super Bowl level facility downtown, I don't see why you don't spend the 1.5. I mean, it doesn't, I don't think you're going to make up that 2.5 billion with one Super Bowl. That's a part of it too. If you build that $4 billion building, okay, or what? Again, I'm just throwing a number out. The Bills need to recoup that money, and that money is going to come from you and me, not through taxes, but from private seat licenses, from tickets to games, from tickets to concerts, tickets to everything else. And there's a concern, I think, from the Bills' point of view of if you build it so expensive that you then have to make the seats and all the things that you have to pass down through fans and all the corporate partnerships and suite costs, if you have to make those so expensive to recoup that money that you're pricing out your market, then what's the point of doing it? And I have not been told that's a part of it, but to me it's a logical consideration here that at some point, whatever the Bills spend on the stadium, you're not just dumping that money, yay, we got a building. You want to get that money back so it becomes an investment and not a money pit. Well, if you build it so expensive, this is not New York City or Dallas where there's lots of people, lots of money to spend. You need to build this stadium at a level that you can recoup that money from the market you have to work with. Doesn't mean that it's impossible to build that $4 billion stadium and get that money back, but I would think in Buffalo that would be difficult to do. Mark Alfano, I hope the Bills build an outdoor stadium. Football is best in the elements. Ask the folks in Green Bay, Chicago, Pittsburgh. It'd be nice if the stadium was erected closer to Rochester. I'd love that too. I mean, I'd love to save myself a half hour on the thruway, but closer to Rochester does not sound like it is in the plans. I mean, downtown would be slightly closer to Rochester, but not that much of a deal. Sell the Sabres and focus on the Bills. Corey, I don't know if many people would disagree with you there. I think you'd have a pretty decent groundswell for that right now. Gregory Pum would not be Buffalo without the wind and snow, and that's the thing. Again, I think from what I understand, the Buffalo experience is part of what wants to be preserved. I think they're thinking more tailgating, because again, you go downtown, you make it very hard to do that. All right. I appreciate everybody checking in. Good comments tonight, guys. Good conversation about this. And look, again, a long road to go. I know everybody's got their, and this is the thing. You know, when I posted the story on Friday, got a lot of Twitter response, unsurprisingly. And I was actually surprised at really how split people were on what they wanted. You had about, 50-50 downtown versus yay Orchard Park. 50-50, I want to see my football in the snow or I want a dome. Dome was probably more like 70-30. Regardless, there isn't one angle or one opinion on this which is overwhelmingly in one direction. Everybody seems to want their own thing from the new stadium, and I think that makes it really hard for the Pegulas to give everybody exactly what they want. So again, why spend $4 billion if you're still going to make half of your fan base unhappy anyway? Spend the $1.5 billion. And again, just to reiterate, I'm just throwing numbers out there. Those are not anywhere any kind of actual numbers what the stadium might cost. All right, again, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys later.